And then there were two. The Scousers have bowed out of the Premier League title. See you later, Jurgen Klopp. Thanks for joining in the party with Arsenal and Manchester City. That last hurrah, that little speech that he gave saying, I'm off, guys. Come on, let's give us one last hurrah on our way out and we're going to win the Premier League title. Nope. Out they go. They were deflated, pretty woeful from Liverpool in truth. I've just finished watching the game, which is why it's fresh on the mind, and watching the post-match interviews with Jurgen Klopp and Gakpo. It was just like, yeah. So what are your chances of winning the Premier League title now? Just like, yeah, not good really. Like, meh. Just deflated, mate. Just completely. The City do this to teams, don't they? We deflate people. We annoy them to the hills to the point where they just give up. Any sign or any cracks in their own armour, and they just give up. The assumptions that Manchester City have already won the league, I can't believe. I don't believe it myself. And when I say I can't believe it, I don't believe it. I don't believe City have got this wrapped up because Arsenal are absolutely hot on the tail. Well, they're ahead of Manchester City right now, but of course we're going to have one eye on that Spurs game. Arsenal heading to Spurs, which is going to be a difficult game for them. I do think they're going to go through. And I mean, we're talking about who plays first now as well, because a lot of the fixture alignment and the scheduling of the fixtures are taking a big factor into momentum, into confidence. And we saw it when we played first. Liverpool and Arsenal both faltered, both lost their games, having watched City win theirs. Now we watched Liverpool go first, and we even watched them drop points prior to that before we played Brighton. Liverpool dropped points, and that gave City a massive boost. And I think we watched Liverpool drop points. We went to the Amex Arena, played Brighton, and we beat them with that spring in our step, with the quality that we showed, the confidence that we showed, knowing full well that Liverpool are all but out of the title race. And now that they drew 2-2 against West Ham, that's pretty much it for Liverpool. Surely that is it. We are ahead of them by 1 point with 2 games in hand. Now it's over to Arsenal and Manchester City now as to where this Premier League title is going to finish up. But like I said, the assumptions of rival fans, almost to this air of inevitability that Manchester City have done it already. I can't believe it. I don't believe it. Like I said, I keep saying it. I do not believe it. And Manchester City have to absolutely guard against complacency. And my nerves going into the Brighton game were shot down by City fans in the comment sections, and I appreciate that, by the way. Get your comments in below as well to what your predictions are for this game, and drop a like on the video while you're there, please do. And subscribe if you're new as well. All of that malarkey. But yeah, I was pleased to see so many City fans like shooting me down, because I was nervous going into the Brighton game. Not because of what Brighton were going to do in terms of... I had my mind made up. That's why I titled the video, The Perfect Game for Haaland, and he's missing. Because of all the space that we saw against Brighton, all that, the long balls. How many times did we see the ball dinked over the top with Kyle Walker, of all people, marauding forward, getting himself an assist. 2 assists for Kyle Walker in that game, by the way. Fantastic from him. But the ball, the space that Brighton left behind, we've only seen Luton do that against Manchester City, and they got spanked as well, and Erling Haaland scored 5 in that FA Cup match at Kenilworth Road against Luton. So I wasn't surprised to see Brighton play the way. My worry was, how are City going to play? Are they going to take their chances? Because we're going to get some. We just need to make sure we take them. And we absolutely did. I mean, that serves me right for doubting them, because they absolutely proved me wrong. They were quality at the Amex Arena. I still have the same level of nerves against Nottingham Forest going to the City ground, but it's a totally different ball game. We're going to go up against a dirty low block with Hudson-Odoi and Elanga or Reina. I'll get onto the Forest team news shortly, with the speed that they've got, and Chris Wood, who is not finding it too difficult to find the back of the net right now, with 13 Premier League goals to his name. There's a threat there from Nottingham Forest on the counter-attack that we absolutely need to be mindful of. They've almost got a fully fit squad as of City, but I mean, it's just the low block that we've struggled against it this season. We really have, you know, and it's going to be one of those games that I'll take any sort of win. It's going to be a low block from Forest, and we need to... an early goal will settle the nerves. It will cause Forest to come out of their shape. But I mean, we saw it last season. You know, we drew there 1-1 at the City ground last season, and we were so wasteful. Chance after chance after chance, and then up the other end they go, and Chris Wood made it 1-1. You know, we could see something. And 1-1 in this game, detrimental. Obviously depends on what happens with Arsenal and Spurs, which happens before our game. And when have you seen that, by the way? When's the last time you saw which game is bigger on paper? Nottingham Forest versus Manchester City or Arsenal versus Spurs? Okay? When have you ever seen the biggest game on Sunday played first? This Premier League that are allowing Manchester City to win the league, according to Mr. Mark Goldbridge, kept saying that Premier League just allowing Manchester City. They're doing everything they can to stop us. To play Arsenal and Spurs before us, that's the blockbuster game. That's the headline for Sunday, surely. Arsenal versus Spurs or Forest versus City. Come on. To play us at the 4:30 fixture is just to give Arsenal the advantage if they win. And if they don't, fuck me. The spring in our step, I mean, the title will be done. I think we'll beat Forest. If they drop points against Spurs, if Arsenal drop points, City are going to go to the City ground and we're going to win. We're going to win. If Arsenal win, it gets a bit squeaky then. It gets really nervous because this is a grim fixture. It really is. I mean, it's not an easy place to go. It is a difficult place to go. We're going to a very sour place in terms of the City ground. The aura around Nottingham Forest right now is very bitter. And I think they're going to have the bit between their teeth. You've got to factor in all this fucking nonsense from Mark Clattenburg, this new role of refereeing. What is his role? I don't know what his title is. The referee bollocker. I don't know what he is. Every time a refereeing decision goes against them, he waits in the tunnel like some WWE superstar waiting to smack the referee around the back of the head with a steel chair or something. I don't know the point in him. He's just got to go in to argue with all the Forest officials, the match officials and representing Forest in the process. I've never heard of such a thing, but they have been hard done by. That game against Everton with Ashley Young penalties, stonewall penalties, stonewall. So I can see why Forest feel hard done by in that particular game, at least anyway. But then it comes with the Forest owner coming out with the tweet and things like that. So there's an aura around that place right now. You know, the world against us. We love that ourselves. How much has that fueled Manchester City over the years? The world against us, batten down the hatches, siege mentality. You know, just that it's fueled us. It's worked wonders for us. Now, can Forest turn that into positive energy and use that negative feelings that they've got, the world against us, and take it onto the pitch against Manchester City? Because it's going to prove a really difficult task. They're going to defend for their lives. They've got so much to fight for, of course, with them just being in the relegation, above the relegation zone. And obviously, we could effectively relegate them in this game. Obviously, and then there's the whole points deduction of what's going on. They're still safe as of right now, but are they going to gain more points? Are they going to lose more points? Who the fuck knows anymore with the Premier League and what's going on? And when that decision will be made, who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if the Premier League announced it before this game, like 10 minutes before, just to give Forest a bit of a boost, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised, because the Premier League are trying everything. Although most people seem to believe that they're not, the Premier League are trying everything to get in the way. Because, like I said, the fixtures are nonsense. Arsenal and Spurs playing at 2:30, absolute 2 o'clock bollocks, absolute bollocks. But City, they're finding the form as they always do. We've got to guard against complacency. That's the issue. And there's no way Pep Guardiola will allow his players going onto that pitch with any sort of complacency. They know full well what they're capable of. But it's just, we've convinced Liverpool that they're not good enough. We'd already done that. The mental battle had been lost a couple of weeks ago. Liverpool crumbled. Absolutely flaky as anything, and they've capitulated at the final stages, the final hurdle, going into the business end. Very similar to how Arsenal capitulated last season. Liverpool sort of snuck into this title race with that Klopp announcement. Arsenal have been there from the start, compared to last season where they sort of surprised everybody, weren't really expected to be in the title race. Then they get to the business end of the season and they crumble, just like Liverpool are. Arsenal seem to have learned their lessons a little bit. You know, and we'll really find out the exact lesson that they've learned against Spurs. And if they beat Spurs this game, man, whoa, but it's going to be a high-octane game, really tense football match. But Manchester City, they've scored 4 goals in their last 4 Premier League games, so there's some unbelievable business end of the season form. Absolutely incredible from Manchester City. Only 3 other Premier League teams have ever scored 4 goals in 4 Premier League games in a row. So we could become the first team ever if we were to score 4 goals in 5 games in a row. That would be unbelievable from this Manchester City side. And it's not just doing it in the middle of the season or at the start of the season. We're doing it at the business end of the season, which is just formidable. Literally formidable. Unbelievable. Quality news. Speaking of news, team news. Awoni and Willy Bolly are the only absentees for Forest, and Manchester City should have a full bill of health, with Haaland seen, pictured in training. All happy and smiles for Erling Haaland. Will he start? Because like I said, it was the perfect game to play against Brighton. Now, the amount of goals that he would have scored in that Brighton game, you know, with the space in behind, he will not have that. If he finds himself in the starting 11 for Manchester City against Forest, he will not have any space against Forest. So it's kind of brutal to bring Haaland back in. He's missed that one game where he would have shaken off the cobwebs, shaken off those headlines, got rid of the monkey off his back that he's not in form right now. A lot of people are questioning Erling Haaland. Some City fans are even calling for his head. You know, sell the guy, which is a joke, a complete joke. Couldn't disagree with that anymore. But still, you're entitled to your opinions. But right now, it's like bringing him back into it's really throwing him in the deep end, because I know it's Forest. They're not the best defensively. They've kept one clean sheet in the last 23 Premier League games. So we should be scoring goals in this game. But how we score the goals will be interesting, because they're not going to be scored by threading over a long ball over the top into 40 yards of space for Erling Haaland to get on the end of. No way's that going to happen. He needs to sniff these chances out and get inside the box and be a poacher in this game. And, you know, and he uses physical power against whoever he's going up against in that Nottingham Forest defence, which is going to be solid as you can expect, physically solid, not in terms of keeping the ball out of the back of the net, but Niakate and Murillo at the back, big physical presences that love the battle. They're going up against Erling Haaland, no doubt. But Stones, Diaz, Grealish and Doku, they were all rested against Brighton, so we could and probably will see a few more minutes. Maybe a few of those will actually start the game against Forest as well. But Doku came on centrally, by the way. That's something I wanted to talk to you about as well. I wanted to mention that and get everyone's opinions on that. Get in the comments below and what you think about Doku playing centrally, because it wasn't the first time we've seen it either this season. Pep's trusted him on more than one occasion to play very, very centrally, which is weird, because he came on with Jack Grealish and he sent Grealish out on the left. You stay there, get the chalk on your boots, Jack. You chill on the left wing. Doku, you're playing in the middle, drifting free spirit, which is out of the two players, out of Grealish and Doku, I would much prefer to see Jack Grealish in the middle and Doku staying out wide with his dribbling ability. You know, his ability to beat a fullback is just second to none, you know, in the Premier League. But I mean, to see him centrally, what are your thoughts? Get in the comments below. I really want to hear your thoughts on Doku playing centrally. It's exciting because Pep obviously sees something in him. And it's amazing to think about the adaptability of Doku, because I thought we've signed a winger and that's it. He's never going to play in any other position. I once had the bright idea that he could play maybe as a wing back because he's got defensive attributes. But seeing him central is really interesting. So yeah, get in the comments below and let us know what you think about that. Predicted team news. Let's start with the Forest team. Matt Sells in goal for them, no doubt. Nico Williams at right back. You're going to have to bear with me with this, by the way, because the list of players in Forest, it's like a bloody 6-page essay of players. Just the unbelievable amount of players that Forest have got. Just to find them and put them on the bloody screen for you is a task in itself. So bear with me. Niakate left centre-back and Murillo alongside him, no doubt. Then at left-back, we'll see Ola Aina and double D's, not the wonderfully sized breasts, the two individuals, Dominguez and Danilo, which is a bit of a mouthful. Maybe a bit of a mouthful. Thought I'd found him. There he is. Danilo. And then in front of them, Morgan Gibbs-White, the man who got Rodri sent off in the home game earlier this season. Infuriating, but what a player he is. He's got 2 goals and 2 assists in his last 4 Premier League games, which isn't bad going at all. He's a dangerous player, and it's the next 4 players for Nottingham Forest that are going to cause us problems. I nearly said nightmares, not quite that aggressive, but problems, you know, something to be very, very mindful of. So yeah, Morgan Gibbs-White in front of them. Again, if I can find them, this list is ridiculous from Forest. How many players do you bloody need? Nottingham Forest, Gibbs-White, there you are, mate. In front of them, let's go with the left winger first. Hudson-Odoi, no doubt. Now, on the right, they could be playing Giovanni Reina, who's on loan from Borussia Dortmund. Looks like a promising player, 21-year-old. Good player. But Anthony Elanga's a little bit more tried and trusted. I think they'll probably revert back to him. A little bit more quick. It's hard to say, but he's speedy. You know, Hudson-Odoi, Elanga, former rag as well. on the right wing, no doubt, with Chris Wood up top. I'm not going to go into too much tactics for this because I don't think there's going to be anything tactically worthwhile even speaking about. I think it's going to be a very typical football match that Manchester City go up against a low block. I don't think it's going to be anything along the lines of tactical ingenuity from Forest or Pep Guardiola. It's a case of attack versus defence and just be mindful of the counter-attack. So, with that in mind, City, starting 11, Ederson in goal. Again, I feel sorry for Ortega, considering he showed a little glimpse of him, didn't we? Had a really enjoyable glimpse of Stefan Ortega, and that's gone. You know, I feel for the guy. I'm going to go with Kyle Walker at right centre-back and Ruben Diaz, who didn't play against Brighton. Walker, who's been pushed since he's just come back from his hamstring injury. He's been pushed for minutes. You know, he played the full second leg against Real Madrid and he's played all the fixtures since then. He is the captain, of course. He got 2 assists, though, against Brighton. So hopefully he's ready for this game. We're probably going to need his speed against the likes of Hudson-Odoi as well to prevent any sort of counter-attacks. He's the best man for the job in that regard. And I'm going to go with Gvardiol at left centre-back because it's really tough now to decide between Ake and Gvardiol. Earlier, there was the middle of the season during that Christmas period. Ake, all day long. I think Gvardiol has slowly found his feet to the point where it's like, yeah, you're competing with Ake credibly, you know, in terms of the performances and the output from Gvardiol going forward has been better than Nathan Ake, and he offers something a little bit more, a different dynamic to the way we can build up. So I'm going to go with Gvardiol for that reason. In front of them, I'm going to go with John Stones and, of course, Rodri. And then in front of them, I'm going to go with KDB, who again is being pushed for minutes because we only played on Thursday, don't forget. So this is going to be 3 days rest, if that, if you want to call it 3 days rest, really. And then Phil Foden, who has to play. The form he's in, the guy's just unbelievable at the minute. Unbelievable. Player of the season, arguably. Not just at Manchester City, definitely at Manchester City. Arguably in the league. I mean, who's been better than Phil Foden? People say Cole Palmer and the job that he's done. Get in the comments for that as well. Answer in the comments below to let me know whether you think Cole Palmer or Phil Foden, and take your City hat off when you're doing it as well, please, because I'd rather it be an unbiased conversation, because Cole Palmer has been brilliant. Let's have it right. He's been brilliant in a much poorer side as well. But Phil Foden's just been creme de la creme, hasn't he? It's just been that extra level of quality from Phil Foden. I'm going to go with Erling Haaland up front because I saw him fit. I'm hoping he can just pin back and use his physical presence. We need something from him in this game. It would be harsh to drop Alvarez, to be fair, because he got his goal. That maybe give him that boost of confidence, having scored against Brighton. But Haaland, I don't know. We could use his attributes a little bit more wiser in a game like this. But we'll see. I'm going to go with Jeremy Doku on the left, which, I mean, some people might want to see a bit more control down that left-hand side, but I'm going to keep the control on the right-hand side, at least with Bernardo Silva. I want to see Doku exploding into this game. A game that I'm very, very nervous about. I still believe City will have enough. I personally believe the result against Arsenal will decide this result. If Arsenal drop points, we're winning this game. We're going to finish them off. We're going to finish them off and potentially win the league if Arsenal drop points. If they win, it'll be on a knife edge, this game. The intensity, the aura around this game is going to be so tense. And I'm nervous. I'm going to go eventually a 3-1 City win that's 2-1 for a long period of the game, and City get a third in the final 5 minutes or so, something like that, to finish off Forest and potentially see them relegated. And if we do win this game, we're getting very, very close to calling ourselves Premier League champions again. But will it happen? Get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, Blues. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now.